What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans. In this video, I've got a very special guest, a great content creator in the Hex and PulseChain ecosystem. I've been enjoying his content since I joined the community. I love his live streams, his breakdown videos, all that good stuff. So with no further ado, Mr. Krypto Panda. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Great, man. Thanks. Welcome to the YouTube channel. I'm glad you can come on here and have a chat. You're everywhere, man. You're making like great content on your own channel. I see you streaming with Brandon sometimes from Rags to Riches, Crypto Heartbeat, another guy called Crypto Gym Rat I saw you with. You get around in a good way.
Yeah, I love that you say that. None of the new streams that I've been on are really planned. It's just, I started just making the short snackable videos, 5 to 10 minutes. And then I hit it off with Crypto Heartbeat and Rags. We started doing the pre-viral show, and I miss the streams that are at night. I get to be in the chat and watch them, but when I go home from work, this is where my office is, where my setup is. So if people are doing streams during the day and I can take a break from work, I'm happy to jump on. So I like that I'm everywhere, trying to spread the good vibes and my excitement about everything we have going on here.
Absolutely, man. You've got a really positive attitude, which is really attractive as a content creator. No homo, but you know what I mean? You've got a good, I think a common thread that runs through your content is like positivity and trying to build a cohesive community, which is obviously what we need, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what attracted me to Hex in the first place. I've told the story before, but I got so wrecked in 2017, 2018 through not being a degen or anything, but just, being filled with hopium and not being realistic about things that I didn't even want to talk about crypto for like 2 years. So when a friend introduced me to Hex, he had to tell me 3 different times, and I wasn't like, leave me alone. I didn't do any of those. That's a scam. He just was like, I know you're not doing crypto, but you should really check this out. I decided that I made a couple of decisions. One is it would be long-term. It would be for my family, my kids, my wife and kids, that I wasn't going to be interested in any kind of trading. And I knew just from experience that I'd be constantly assessing the community and the dev team, or the founder, Richard Hart. So that has been my study ever since then. And the ethos that I saw, that sort of each one teach one ethos that I saw in the Hexagon community, like, drew me in, and my gratitude for being introduced to it is what made me even want to start creating content, in the first place. So.
Well, you've come a long way from that PTSD that you had from, your first round in crypto to, making great content and making a positive impact. And you just got back from the Hex conference. Is that right?
I did. Yeah, it was awesome.
How was it? Tell us about it. Spill the beans.
Yeah. So, I saw funny memes going around about it being a WWE wrestling fight or whatever. I didn't expect that, because people are a lot braver behind their keyboards than they are, in person.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from it was, man, the more time that we spend either in real life or on streams together, the better it is, because I can't look at you. I mean, we'll meet someday in person, but I can't look at you in the face and have a conversation with you, like, legitimately, and like you as a person, and know that we're on the same page about a lot of things regarding wanting to be financially free and this ecosystem. And then and then approach it in a different way just because we're behind Twitter. Like, it changes things. And even the people that I see and I do live streams or have video chats with on a regular basis, even meeting them in person was like, it's another level of then coming back. There was so much positivity. So, like, just really, so much understanding. And when I say so much positivity, I mean, like, yeah, in person, in that room, but in the social settings, in chat, like, everything I saw, and I didn't get to see all of chat, but when we were up on stage and we were able to see the chat, it was just like, it was all good, such good vibes. And, that's, I'm obviously drawn to that in that regard, but I came back more motivated, I think, than anything. I've always been kind of Hexagon first, and then the other things. Second, even though I saw the writing on the wall when Richard said he was going to fork Ethereum. But now I'm like, I'm an ecosystem maxi. And I kind of lean that way in the first place, but I got even more motivated to do what I can to keep things positive around PulseChain, PulseX, all, like, everything. And that doesn't mean that you need to ape into all the stuff just because it's built on top of PulseChain, but that's where the focus of my efforts in terms of streaming and videos will be in the future.
Yeah, man, I can see that. Like, you can see someone, you know, when they stream, and of course, meeting them in person is always better, but your content is from the heart, you're positive, you're honest, you're authentic, and it really shines through. Going back to the Hex conference, though, was it all positive? There was no negativity or anything like that? Because before there was obviously a bit of infighting on Twitter and stuff before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to someone about this yesterday. I don't know if the people who had issues with each other just did a good job of not being in the same place, you know? And admittedly, I didn't go to all the social events. You know, it's a long journey for me, not over the pond, but being away from family. And so I did other things while I was in Vegas, like I met my business partner there. He's a Hexcan. You know, we're all in, but we got to talk about work. So that the company paid for it. Got to see some family members, but all I saw was positivity. I mean, especially when you're in that room. I didn't see anything negative, and I was trying to pay attention to stuff going on the socials, and I didn't see anybody.
Great.
Yeah. Have you heard something?
No. I just wondered, because obviously you're the only person. Well, you're the first person I've talked to who's been there, right? So,
Okay.
I'm just being nosy. Everyone likes a bit of drama, but obviously, going back to what I said at the beginning, it's all about the community coming together, and that's the common thread I get from your content. So my next question actually is, how do we get past this kind of maximalist mindset, which is like, unless RH has built it and approved it, it's just trash? How do you think we do that?
So there's a couple things. One is I'm already seeing over the past month, I've seen that softening, like the tides are turning. The other thing is even though I disagree with just maxis in general, I think it's a stain on any crypto community, because what ends up happening is that maxis end up recruiting other maxis. Truly, that I do appreciate their hardcore belief system in a specific thing. What I have tried to help people understand, if I can, and I don't know that maxis even care about my videos, but at least I'm able to say, listen, if you believe only in Richard Heart products, then you are a Richard Heart ecosystem maxi. And in order for you and us to get the most benefit from our sacrifices or our energy, economic energy, and just energy in general about this, then you need to look at what are now about to make up most of the things that he's built, which is PulseChain and PulseX. And arguably, I mean, Hex is the most amazing thing ever, but I'm so excited for PulseChain. Those guys are so smart. They just take what is out there and make everything better. And if you're really, truly looking at what is required for PulseChain to be a success, then it is adoption. It's mass adoption. It is acceptance of any and all projects and products in the ecosystem. And I don't, again, I'm not saying ape into stuff just because it's on there. I'm not even saying you have to say anything nice about things that you disagree with or you don't like. Richard Heart was the first person to tell people this scammers are going to be the first and the most, and there's going to be a lot of them when PulseChain launches. That's just how it works. Get used to it. There's going to be rug pulls. So it's not don't be stupid, but you can just say, I just continue saying all are welcome on PulseChain. All are welcome on PulseChain.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need more people coming in there. So it's obviously, it makes sense, doesn't it, to try and whether you like it or not, welcome it, because it's going to pump our bags.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I spent the past several months like looking specifically at other chains and other communities. Really, one of my biggest interest points was what categories you'll see, like other chains where all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, rebase tokens or DAOs are popular on this chain and they make it popular, or now nodes on Avalanche. And I don't care what you think about nodes. There's node freaks. That's what they like, and they're on Avalanche and they're pumping AVAX on a community sense. But they're saying, what are new Avalanche node projects? Shill me on FTM NFTs. Like they are in that particular, they're in that world. And whether it's they've just decided this is my camp and I'm staying here, or they don't realize the ease of use of bridging, you know, it doesn't matter to me what that is. So I was always interested, and I still am interested to see what categories or what category will sort of be the leader on PulseChain. And naturally, I'm a DeFi guy, so I think DeFi is going to be it. And I think that it'll be interesting to see the things that pop up. But it should be more than DeFi. It should be as many different things as possible, including the things that you and I may not even be interested in investing in.
Absolutely. Do you think that when PulseChain goes live, you know, it's just obviously people like me and you who are invested in it and hexagons and people who sacrifice, it's going to be like fever pitch. But do you think people from other chains come running over, or do you think it's kind of a slow trickle while, you know, it takes time to build up knowledge about PulseChain to other communities?
I think having the expectations that everyone will be there, even with, you know, I did a video. I did a video because I was stoked to find out in some of my research that I want to beat Binance. They're the #1 market cap ecosystem that's out there. And I'm like, okay, so now drill down and figure out like how many active projects do they have actively traded? Meaning like, I don't care about the 15,000 that Nomics lists. What are they actively traded? And it's like 5,400, something like that. And I'm like, okay, what about Ethereum? And I was like, oh my gosh, 80% of like, we're going to like 80, the number of ERC20s that are going to get PRC20 copies is 80% of Binance Smart Chain's actively traded tokens. Like we're just starting with that much of a head start. And people typically don't like Binance. They typically don't necessarily like Binance Smart Chain, but they like fast transactions, cheap transactions, things like that. So in the video, I basically say, look, we got this. Richard and his team are geniuses. They've got us this far along. All we really need to do is just not be a bunch of D-bags. You know, like it's not, this is not that difficult. And yet we know that these things take time. So if there is, you know, it's not FUD, it's just the reality of the situation. Depending on when PulseChain launches and when ETH 2.0, you know, makes its changes and actually runs its tests and goes live, we have that runway to help educate the entire everybody as much as possible that this is something that they should be taking a look at. So I try not to have expectations about anything in life, let alone crypto. But my feeling is that we will get a couple of those that are a couple of those projects, those communities that come over that get excited and are like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm not going back because Ethereum sucks. The gas fees suck, even though they've been great. All right. You know, they've been all right recently. But this is why I am open to talking about projects like Liquid Loans or any of the other projects, because I think we were talking before. I think I had to be one of the first Hex streamers to talk about Liquid Loans, and I talked about Pulse Doge in that as well. And I got a little bit of heat. You got a little bit more heat for the Doji than I did for Liquid Loans, but it came from a really like a heart-centered place. I was like, if I created a project and the things that the work that I put into it had all the things that Richard Hart tells us, no admin keys, no middlemen, like I wouldn't have the expectation that everyone would jump on board, but I would at least appreciate if people listened, like especially being a member of the community. And so when I saw that loud and clear with Liquid Loans, and I mean, I saw that with the Pulse Doge people, because I looked and saw the passion behind Binance Smart Chain, and I was like, people are going to hate on them, and they seem to have really thick skin about it, and they've got a great sense of humor. But what they're doing is they're just creating this economic energy vacuum from Binance Smart Chain to PulseChain. And they've held strong in it. And I know that they've gotten some good support from other members of the community. And then there's people that just straight up, you know, don't like it. And I don't care what they end up, what they like or don't like about something. But if you sacrifice for PulseChain and you sacrifice for PulseX, in my opinion, if you don't like something that's being built on it, just keep your mouth shut.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Like you said, actually going back to that video that you made, I watched it. It was a great video. You're comparing Ethereum. I think you were just pulling up, right? Stuff on Nomics, on Ethereum and BSC. And like you said, a lot of people don't like BSC, but they use it. Why? Because it's cheaper and it's faster. And PulseChain is going to be even cheaper and even faster. So, I mean, unless, yeah, like you said, unless we accept people to come onto the network, and of course there's going to be meme coins and rug pulls and NFTs and all this stuff, and maybe some stuff we agree with. Obviously we don't agree with rug pulls, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
NFTs or stuff like that. I also like the way that the people that are building, like Mintra, Hedron, Liquid Loans, it's all trickled down from the RH ecosystem, which is immutable, no admin keys, true DeFi, which we all love. I'm sure, you know, me and you feel exactly the same. Everyone watching this video is, you know, in that mindset where we don't want to go from the old system, which a lot of it has mirrored the legacy finance system, right? A lot of it is centralized, the stable coins. There are admin keys. So yes, we're going to have this whole new system with a system state copy, but it's going to be even better, even faster than BSC, which when I use it, because I do use BSC a bit to send some BUSD around and stuff, it's fast, but it's not even going to be nothing. It's going to be nothing compared to PulseChain. It's still about 5 to 10 cents to send some tokens on BSC. So it's just going to be mind blowing when PulseChain comes out and you can send stuff for like pennies. You can start a stake. You can do all this stuff. You can, you know, go into Liquid Loans if you're staking the loan token and collect your rewards just for pennies. It's going to be really, really exciting. We've just had some news, obviously, that testnet 2.5B is coming out. What do you feel about that? And do you feel that mainnet is around the corner, or?
I mean, I like the naming. It's nice. It's a nice. I'm in software. It's a nice software name, but it's testnet 3. You know, I mean, they can call whatever they want.
Why do you think they've done that?
I don't know. I mean, everyone has the reasons for doing things, you know, and I trust the naming convention, but I'm like, it's the third version of a thing. And one of the best things that I love about this community is just, we don't have to think about this stuff, but it's just fun. We're sitting around, you know, waiting for it to do whatever it's going to do. So why not have someone post like, I saw someone post like, what if 2.5B is mainnet? You know, and someone's like, oh my gosh, don't do that to me. And then other people like, you know, then some geek will come in and a wet blanket will come in and be like, well, I haven't seen any, you know, they'll do whatever. But it's like, but this commentary, even though in some cases there have been things that are not necessarily positive, it's useful. It's helpful. It keeps people engaged. It keeps them wondering. It keeps them interested in what it is that we're doing here. And PulseChain, I know so many people that didn't get, that didn't find out, they didn't get to participate in the PulseChain sacrifice. And so PulseX is their bag, you know, they've got some hex. They're trying to figure out how to get PulseChain, and they're excited about PulseX. And I'm like, they should be, you know, you should be, whatever point you got in, you're in. That's great. So wherever that you are in that particular timeline, I think that's awesome. And by the way, you know, the new energy that I saw coming in terms of content creation and things like that were people that were late to Hex, even though I don't think that you can be late to Hex. I think that the way that it's built is anytime you get in, and if you look at the way that wealthier individuals invest in things, they're getting yield that is not available to them in any other, you know, predictable market. So the trust that was just launched is huge. I mean, is massive. Richard Hart, you know, I haven't seen him comment on it, but he wanted a grayscale type situation. And so any of these things that are pulling that economic energy into the ecosystem are good. And so this influx of new, really, really smart content creators that are excited about PulseChain and PulseX, it's awesome because once people get in, they're like, wait, what's this Hex thing? They can make the decision of whether or not to jump in. But you know, Richard Hart has a sacrifice. I'm gonna be there. I want to be a part of the things that he's involved in. I hope he doesn't do another sacrifice anytime soon. But
I hope not. I think 2 sacrifices is enough, and let's get PulseChain mainnet live before we have any more sack phases. Because they can be they're like a roller coaster of emotions, right? They're fun, they're stressful, you get the FOMO going. What do you think happens when PulseChain goes live? You know, do you think that everyone who's got their PulseX or a lot of people try and buy Pulse or vice versa? What do you think goes on in the first week or so?
I think that those who know are going to just chill. and going to watch and see the mayhem or whatever ends up going on. I have heard multiple times that there are people that got PulseX and are looking to get into PulseChain. I think that there are people like a lot of us are in this community because we don't want to do the degen and the trader thing. But I also wonder if some of these, some of these things that are exciting and happening kind of pull people to that side of it where they're like, okay, well, I got this much PulseChain. I didn't sacrifice as much as I wanted. So when it does that first run up in the dump, because it's going to, that's not FUD. I mean, I was fortunate enough, I don't know, it was like 8 months ago or whatever, to hang out with Randy Hilarski, who I respect. Great guy. His experience. And he's just an awesome dude. I mean, we were in Panama City and it couldn't have been, he and his wife couldn't have been cooler. But he's just like, listen, I've seen so many of these. I've been on, I think it was 40 or 50 launches. He's like, they all run up and dump. Like there's no, like, don't expect anything differently. But some people might take that and go, well, I'm going to sell that first top and then I'm going to see what I can get on the bottom. And we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. But I do think some people are going to, I don't want to say get wrecked, but maybe make some bad decisions when everything's kind of crazy. I guess the good news is that we have so many different things that we can look at that there isn't really enough time to make moves and screw yourself on everything. So they might make some bad decisions on one thing, but they're set, on something else. But I'm just excited to see, man. I'm so pumped to see what happens. There's so many little experiments that are going on. And one of the things that I'm really most excited about, because I'm most interested in mass adoption on PulseChain, is what are going to be the first like 5 super excited communities that have been hurt by ETH gas, and who's coming over and how they actually take to it. Because I've been frustrated. I have friends that aren't super wealthy that want to buy $100 worth of hex. And lately it's been okay. But then, their gas fees they were to buy and stake and it was going to cost more to do that. So they can't buy $20 worth of hex. They can't buy $50 worth of hex. And think of all the other, those 50 or 4,300, 4,400 projects that are in that same boat, where dollar cost averaging is either reserved for people that have a lot of money or individuals that have to maybe save up 3 or 4 paychecks to get to a point where it makes sense, on gas fees. So we just got such an exciting time ahead of us.
Absolutely. I mean, ETH is just completely, like you said, it's come back down now quite a bit, but even like $10 for a gas fee, which seems reasonable now, is going to be like 100 times more than it will be on PulseChain. So it's funny how your brain reframes things after it's been so high, like $100 or whatever, or much more at the peak. I saw $270 and more for a swap on Matcha and Uniswap at the peak of the bull market. What do you think at the moment? Do you think we're in a bear market or a bull market?
I think we're moving towards a bear. I don't think it's full bear because we're still seeing these little like blips of life, where things, and you'll see. What I try to do is I clearly there's a hex and a PulseChain Twitter bubble that you can get in. But I'll also try to expand my horizons a little bit and check out the greater crypto ecosystem. And when stuff will bump up, you'll see people like, bears are screwed, and I'm like, I don't know, man. That's just one day and you're feeling great about everything. Yeah. I don't think we're in a full blown bear market. I don't think we're in that Max Payne scenario. But for better or worse, we could be creeping up on it, depending on what goes on in other parts of the world. So many people saying there's going to be a recession. So we'll see. But I'm staked. So
you're earning trustless yield every day anyway. You're just chilling. What about when PulseChain goes live? Are you, from the sounds of it, it sounded like you were just going to sit on your hands and watch how things play out. Have you got any plays that you're going to do?
I really just want to see, I want to check out all the things that I got and see what happens. Like I have these, it's more like personal theories on things. I'm really, really fascinated to see if P-Hex, which would be called Hex, does a crazy run up and leaves E-Hex behind. How long will that last? And months ago, and I hear people talking about it this much, although recently I saw some guy did a video on it. So many people thought that P-Hex was going to be cheap at first.
Yeah.
I'm going to get all this cheap hex. I'm like, I don't think that you're going to have more people with, you're going to be looking at more masses being able to buy it. I don't think, and I'm not selling mine for cheap, I do believe that EHEX and PHEX will reach some sort of parity. So I'm curious of when that'll happen. Like in the back of my mind, it says a year, but whales are going to protect their positions. Like it's just going to be math. If the gas to buy EHEX and the cost of EHEX is cheaper than buying PHEX, like people are going to make purchasing decisions based on that. And make no mistake, Ethereum 2.0 is coming. I don't know when. The miners are going to do everything they can to kick the can down the road. I don't believe Vitalik Buterin has control of anything. I like the guy. I like when he talks. He's a smart guy. I feel like he really cares. But he's a young kid, and a bunch of adults, a bunch of business people rushed in and kind of took things over. And so those miners are not going to give up their equipment that they paid all this money for easily, and they control everything. So it's coming, and I wanted to at some point because I've got Hex on Ethereum. So I want to be able to end my stakes, inexpensively, but I do want that runway from PulseChain launch to Ethereum 2.0 to be as big as possible, as long as possible, so we can do the work and promote all the things and promote PulseChain.
So do you think PHEX outruns EHEX for a while, and then whales or people who want to,
in the short term, I think so. And this is also me. This is me having conversations with people and saying, well, you're gonna get a copy, and then they're like, yeah, but still, like you're gonna get, if you buy EHEX, you're gonna get a copy. Well, you can tell people you're gonna get a copy of your Hex now on PulseChain, but PulseChain's it's not real to them. All they're seeing is, they'll go, that's cool, but then you'll see in their eyes, they're like, I don't know. And if they really are like digging in and seeing, the faster transactions, cheaper, and what they're looking at in terms of gas right now is 50% or more of the cost of what they paid for Hex. I think there will be a crazy run up on the PulseChain side of things. But I don't know. I can't help but think that that's an opportunity.
Sure. Here's a question for you. So let's say, because obviously ETH 2.0 is coming apparently, but according to Vitalik, maybe 6 years down the line till everything's complete, and those miners aren't going to hand things over easily. Obviously, like you said, he's a clever guy, but he's no alpha male strong leader, is he? He can't really take the reins and take control of stuff. So if it carries on for 2-3 years, and when your stakes come out, well, obviously don't want you to dox yourself, but would you still stake again on Ethereum, or would you like, I'm done with this network, I'm going to sell or bridge over to PulseChain?
That is a tough call. I would say if things are still out of control, then it's just the calculator. It's just math at that point in terms of what it is. And so years down the line, I mean, I don't have that many short-term stakes. I got a couple, but I always say the 3 Hexagon regrets are, I wish I would have found out earlier. I wish I would have bought more when I found out, and I wish I would have staked longer. Well, I learned I wish I would have staked longer pretty early. And so, I don't know, man, it's such a great question, and I will have to see what it looks like, when we get there. But I'm just going to make the decision on what is best for my portfolio and my bags. And the fact that I don't have, I'm not an Ethereum guy. I'm not an Ethereum bro. I don't care about it, but it's going to make it easier to lean towards the PulseChain side of things because I'm in that ecosystem. So that's going to be one of the things I have to weigh against. But other than that, it's just going to be math.
Sure. I mean, cross that bridge when you come to it, right? We're all speculating. Who knows? ETH 2.0 could be out much sooner. It could be out much later. But it will be very interesting. But obviously, PulseChain's coming soon, and that's what we're really, really excited about. What are you most excited about? I mean, obviously, there's so many things to be excited about, but what's one of the things or a couple of the things that you're most excited about on PulseChain?
I'm really excited about, so the things that didn't connect for me, that I wasn't not sold, but I was just like, okay, I'm going to wait and see what happens, is I was sold on staking Hex. on the benefits of staking. I've seen it, excuse me, there's a truck outside. I've seen it save me from myself. I saw it, I should say, because it's not a thing anymore, but saved me from myself enough times to where I was like, this is the best thing ever. Like it literally, it's not about delayed gratification. It's also about freaking handcuffs from selling, you know? Yeah. And you go from like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can't do anything, to like, oh man, I don't even have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
But when I learned about PulseChain, then it was like, okay, but PulseChain doesn't, where's the yield? Like I'm going to hang on to PulseChain for a long time. Where's the yield? And this is, by the way, before any real projects announced that they were doing something. And then when I started seeing like, oh, you can delegate stake, or there's other ways of, now you can, you'll be able to stake your Pulse or your PulseX, or move it into liquid loans as a stability provider, stake loan token. Like everything opened up for me in terms of being able, because I'm just a DeFi guy. Like it feels silly to me to own a token that doesn't pay you in the token, regardless of the price does. Like you can't, it's like you can't, once you realize Santa Claus isn't real, sorry if I just destroyed anyone's world there, but you can't really go back to believing, that he is. And so once you see the situation where we're earning hex every day, regardless of what the price is doing, and so when it goes back up, we're going to have more hex. I can't look at anything else and think that it's a great deal. And so I'm excited to see how things play out. I'm excited to see the Hexagon-led projects and products, how they do on PulseChain. And what I mean by that is not just, of course, the people that are interested in it, that are in this community now, but like, who are we going to see that gets excited? And maybe you've seen this, but who are we going to get excited about these PulseChain projects that are not, or were not in our community in the first place? Like that's fascinating to me. Anything else? Like I get to a point where I feel like, yeah, there's always innovation that's happening, and I'll hear about a new thing. Like a new thing I've heard about recently is this meme plus social token kind of thing. And of course that's a thing. I'm not sitting around trying to think of these things, but like, what are the new categories or products that will pop up along those lines? But really, I'm just going to be, any work that I'm doing is just going to be looking at yield. What is paying me to hold these tokens that we have as part of the ecosystem. And those will, if I'm making moves, those will be the moves I'm making, not like buying and selling or trying to time the market. Gotcha.
Yeah, like we were saying before, that Richard Hart ethos that's filtered down into the system really is like DeFi, true DeFi, your keys, your coins, and getting yield on that, DeFi 2.0. And like you just said, it's kind of seems so old school, doesn't it? Buying a coin and just hoping for price appreciation. Obviously, we all want price appreciation, but we want our money working for us. And whether that's hex staking, that's the loan token in the staking pool for the liquid loans protocol, you're staking your PulseX, you're either staking your Pulse with the validator, or you're using it in the liquid loans protocol. I mean, it just seems weird now for me to think, oh, I'm going to buy a coin and hope it goes up, because I want real utility. I want to be going in there and collecting, yield, inflation, whatever, fees, and having my money work for me like mini worker bees, whether I'm eating, sleeping, working, whatever. And I think that's super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, be bullish. Santa Claus is not real. I don't know how to figure that out. But I agree with you 100%. And the idea that we get to sort of sit and witness and participate if we want in all of these different things is like super exciting. It's once you know the sort of, you sort of look behind the curtain and seeing what yield does for you, especially in a trustless environment, you start to see the formula, and it doesn't always work for these promise coins. It's like the devs always have to have some sort of update. It's like when partnership, when centralized exchange, when whatever. And I was talking to someone yesterday. I was on Crypto Heartbeat stream yesterday. I was mentioning like the idea that Richard Hart will, he's on Twitter, but the idea that he'll sort of go quiet and doesn't feel the need to give some sort of BS update, because a lot of those communities, like they're giving an update, but it's sort of a conversation that they had. It's I don't want to say it's all smoke and mirrors, because some of them, are pretty good at executing.
A lot of it is.
But oh yeah, I mean, honestly, When marketing, right.
Yeah.
And like, we don't even have a we don't need marketing. We're machines. This community
Yeah.
is machines. Like there weren't that many people in the room. And then I'm crossing over a bridge and I'm seeing Hex business cards on the ground. I'm like, go team. Some guy came into the conference and he had been told in his cab by 2 separate groups of people about the conference. So he's like, I don't even know what to do here. I had 2 different rides. Tell me about this. What should I do? And I just sent him over to the Germans and they checked him in. And he was like, he had to be there. Like their passion in a cab ride, I mean, what did they have? 50, the airport's not that far. They like, they shilled this guy hard in 10 minutes.
He's a Vegas cabbie and he's
a Vegas cabbie. Yeah. Think of the stuff he gets told about, whether he wants to or not.
That's so cool.
So it's great. And the, not, and this isn't to disparage anybody that's like feels the need, they're beholden to the community to give updates on specific things. I mean, we can't wait when Richard gives us an update. And I know that people that are interested in liquid loans, when you have a video coming up, and look at all these people that are on, or when you're talking to CC or anyone else, like they're excited about it as well. It is useful. But so much of what we've learned and what we've been trained and what we've been doing for so long is all the exciting stuff is on us.
Yeah.
The things to get excited about. So I don't know if that answered your question, but really it's just going to be observing, because there's so many things to check out. There's going to be so many things to watch and see what happens.
I completely agree. It's like, in some ways, I know that we thought PulseChain was going to be a lot sooner after the sacrifice phase last summer. And in some ways, of course, everyone's like, it's, we want it, we want it now. But in other ways, because it's been delayed so much, all these new things have sprung up, right? So liquid loans, PulseX, Hedron. And me and Randy had a stream a few weeks ago, and he talked about it. It's going to be like a pressure cooker, right? It's just everyone's so eager for it. When it pops off, it's probably going to go ballistic. And going back to what you said about what Randy said, you look at any chart for a new crypto, right? The candle goes right up, as far as possible, and then comes down. So I have no doubt that there will definitely be some capitulation on the chart. But a lot of the people holding Pulse, and a lot of people that sacrificed, are hexagons, and they have that delay gratification mindset. So it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, I think.
Yeah, it's such a great point. And if you consider what you watch in other, in other projects and how they launch, it's like, maybe there's a little bit of a heads up, and you see those candles go up, and some of them found out about a thing yesterday. They haven't read, maybe there isn't a white paper. Like they're just in it to see what they can get out of the launch in as early as possible. The people who sacrificed for PulseChain, that just wanted to get in early and said, well, I'm just going to dump this thing on the run up. Well, now they've had months to do a little bit more research, and maybe some of them have like gotten more deep into the community, and maybe some of them are content creators. But even those that maybe had the whole, like, I'm just going to do the pump and dump thing, they've now had time to get to know the community more. And I don't care if things aren't great right now in crypto, like everyone's looking to feel good. And if you're, and this is why I just do my best to keep it positive. Everyone wants to feel good when things suck. I mean, I had an onboard that his hex was down, and all he wanted to know is like, well, is this like this for all the other cryptos? Like, have they all gone down? Like that was making him feel okay about, and he doesn't pay that much attention. But someone that sacrificed for PulseChain being like, when this runs up, I'm going to dump it. There's going to be some of those, but now there's been enough time to where other people are starting to pay attention and being like, wow, there's never been an airdrop like this. There's never been a chain launched with this many projects and tokens on it. There's never been a chain launched with a community this passionate and this excited about making it succeed. I mean, arguably you could say when Binance launched, they had it's the biggest exchange in the world. They had a bunch of people that were sort of watching and waiting, but this is the first time that any of this is happening. And so everything that's being set up is being set up in a way for us to win. If we stay passionate about it, we stay vocal, and we just keep singing the praises of all the things that are going on. it may not hit the goals that some of us want. Or I was joking yesterday, it may not hit the goals that some of our partners or significant others want on a on a timeline. But all we need to do is just wait. All we need to do is hang out, live our lives.
Patience is a virtue. Yeah, no,
Indeed.
100%. Like you said, if some of your friends, right, they might have brought Hex at 40 cents or near the top at 50. And obviously it's painful, right, to watch that chart bleed out. But knowing that, and I personally feel that obviously all cryptos, down at the moment, but we've been retarded a lot because of Ethereum and if Ethereum fees were cheap, obviously Hex would be a lot higher. But there's so many things to be excited about, all the different protocols and PulseChain coming soon. A lot of the time I even forget about the system state copy, and everyone, right, the SHIB crew, Chainlink, all these people are going to have new coins. And even if they just come over to dump those coins, they're going to see, wow, this is fast. This is quick. What's liquid loans? What's Hedron? Hex? Well, you can stake your Hex and get more every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's anyone's guess what's going to happen, and the NFTs as well, right? NFTs massive on Ethereum.
Yeah, it's a gateway drug or top of the funnel, however you want to talk about it. And there's a thing, like, I'm not gonna lie, there are, because of some of the finger pointing, it can hinder some of the freedom of the type of content that you want to create. But like I want to make a video that pulls in SHIB people to let them know, because most SHIB, a lot of SHIB is bought on centralized exchanges, so they're not getting copy. So I'll get this idea of like, oh man, we should make a video to let them know to be prepared to double your SHIB bags, get it to a wallet. That's the best way to do it. But then I'm like, I don't want to spend any time like defending my position. So then I'm like, what do? Do I tweet out a thing and be like, don't hate me, I'm going to do a video about SHIB, but here, I have to explain myself. And yet I do see the benefit of videos dedicated to those communities and letting them know, like, if you bought your SHIB on this centralized exchange, you're not getting the copy. By the way, get your stuff off the centralized exchanges, first of all. Second of all, you want a free copy? It needs to be sitting on, in your ETH wallet. And so, if you're out there listening and you want a new form of content, like, be my guest and do it. I still may, in that regard. I don't have like a big audience, but I have enough people to think, that I think see that I'm being positive in my approach on how to do it, that it might not be met with as much resistance. But man, kudos to anybody. Kudos to all you guys at Liquid Loans. The thing that I noticed early on in talking to some folks over there was that, like, the thick skin was already there. Like, they didn't, it was like they didn't care. And I don't care if you're coming across of not caring. At some point, it kind of sucks if people are not being cool to you, but they held strong to it. And you've probably seen it more than anyone. You've seen this like sort of softening, and people are like, wait a minute, the taglines that they're using aren't just taglines. That's a reality. I don't have to sell my Pulse to be able to do this. And then I started looking at just other projects in other ecosystems and looking at what I think that you all are doing in terms of how that's all set up, and just your approach to being helpful. And I think other people are seeing that as well. And there's just going to be some people that aren't into it at all because Richard Hart didn't make it. But Richard Hart is not going to talk about other projects right now. He's just not. Yeah. He's going to deflect and say, I haven't had a chance to read the code. I haven't had a chance to do all these different things. But it's not wise for him to talk about any projects on PulseChain when PulseChain isn't here. Yeah. Like, that's just normal. That's just intelligence. That's just maybe either through his own understanding of what he should say and should not say, or his lawyer is saying, don't talk about any other, projects that are on this. But he wants as many projects on PulseChain as possible. You got to be kidding me. He wants to win. That's the whole reason I compared it against Binance Smart Chain. I was like, what's number one? We're going to eat their lunch. What do we need to do that? Because that's what Richard Hart wants. And if that's what he wants, then that's what I'm going to talk about, because that's what I want as well.
Of course. I think anyone holding Pulse, especially Richard Hart, the guy who's creating it, doesn't want a ghost chain. And it does make me laugh. It's crazy that people obviously who sacrifice for PulseChain are fudding any project that wants to build on it. But like you said, you have to have that thick skin and you have to go for it. And isn't it crazy that even though you're a confident guy, you have thick skin, and you would do a great video. I think you do great making a video on SHIB. You still have that reservation because of people who, and let me be honest, it's not just in crypto, but people that throw shade and hate online, they're not doing anything with their life, right? If you're doing something, if you're creating content, if you're moving stuff in the right direction, if you're building, you haven't got time to be looking around and going, I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm going to pick at that. You're just like, even if you don't like it, you're just like, okay, cool. Well, good for you, because I'm just doing my stuff. Where I find a lot of the people who are picking at whatever, name any project that's building on PulseChain or anything that Richard Hart hasn't endorsed and whatever, you're not doing anything with your life. Because if you were busy and you were doing something, you don't have to agree with what's going on, but you don't have to be starting huge threads and starting negativity and calling people out and, even getting stupid, calling people scammers and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, man, that's crazy that you even have to worry about, people, I'm going to get some blowback, because you're helping. I mean, you're helping pump Pulse, which is, if these people are holding Pulse, which they most likely are, you're helping pump their bags by bringing in the SHIB community, by bringing in Chainlink, by bringing in the BAT or whatever. So it's a weird dichotomy that we're in. Obviously, everyone should be trying to, market PulseChain in the proper way. But it's like, obviously they want the 10,000x or they want the 1,000x, but they don't want anyone to come over. And it's like, what planet are you living on?
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. And you, on that note, I feel like they're getting more quiet. They're more, they're hiding behind specific things. But the other thing is, like Richard Hart himself said, if you want it, you build it. I can't build everything. So it's like, how can you be a Richard Hart Maxi, hear him say that, which he's giving permission to his community to say, if you want this thing, build it. And by the way, if we're going to beat the banks, we need to, to make better versions of all their products. And then still not make the connection, that people building things from this community are in light of that, in that same thread. But I don't know, man. I've been using mute and block a lot. I just have.
Yes,
it's just like, people are like, oh, some people might say you're just trying to hide from the reality of the situation. It's like, no, man, like, watch one of my videos. I'm 1,000% positive. I don't need your negativity. Richard Hart does his best to use positive framing for things. And then he mutes and blocks people. And I see Hexkins that get all bent because he unfollowed them or something. And it's like, this isn't funny to him. It's not. Like, you're trolling and it's kind of silly, but like, I'm glad this isn't funny to him.
Yeah.
He's not. And when he is funny, he's hilarious. He's like the best troll ever.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
But when it comes to the stuff that he's building and these things, he's very serious, and he needs to maintain a positive mindset to be able to do those things and execute and lead others to dig deep. Because, I mean, this guy, everyone's working hard. They are. They don't want to be waiting. They don't want to keep answering these questions. And so he can block or mute whoever he needs to stay positive. And I'm just going to do the same, because there's no time for it. I mean, I'd rather have my thread be a bunch of people that are pro all the stuff that we're pro about, and pump them up and get them more excited about talking, about it. I always encourage people, if you're thinking about creating content, do it. Doesn't need to be a video. If you do spaces, if you do memes, if you're feeling a calling to do it, like, I'll have you on my channel, introduce, I'll tweet you out. Like, I'll help you in whatever way I can, because it's useful. It's selfish. And at some point I may not make as many videos. So why not pass the torch to others that are excited and let them see examples of positivity. Because there's no reason we shouldn't be positive about all the stuff we have going on. I mean, what a gift all of this is.
Absolutely. Oh man, your positivity and your channel and the content you put out for free, by the way. I think a lot of people, they're so entitled these days. They're not living in reality. Like, they think that content just somehow magics its way onto the internet, or blockchains build themselves, or protocols build themselves, and there's no time and effort and money in there. And the positivity that you put out, that mute and block button on Twitter is there for a reason. And the funny thing is, if someone came up to you in the street and started giving you shit, you wouldn't hang around them. I just walk off. I wouldn't take it. Like, why am I
Let's
going
go get a coffee.
Yeah.
Let me know
Let's
how
get
you
a beer,
feel.
man. Let's hang out. Even though you're putting me down, you're being negative, you're calling me names. Let's hang out. You wouldn't do that in real life. And number two, 99.9% of people on Twitter wouldn't say anything to your face.
No.
They'd be nice as pie.
Yeah.
But because they're hundreds, thousands, 10,000 miles away or whatever, they're gonna throw shade. And it's very, very easy to call people out and say, right and wrong, or I don't like your content or whatever. Okay, cool. Then you get up in front of the camera and you make content out of your free time. So I'm pumping your bags for free. I think I've heard you say this quite a bit. Whether you agree with me or not, I'm still helping pump your bags, right?
Yeah.
And what you're doing, man, is completely positive. Richard blocks people, and anyone should block people, because no one needs to take any crap, especially when you're putting out content, positive content out into the world, and you're helping the whole community. So I hope that when PulseChain goes live, a lot of these people reflect and we're like, actually, well, they'll see anyway. They'll see when projects like Liquid Loans, Mintra, Hedron, they go live, and they're not here to rug or pull one over on anyone. They want to build on the substrate that Richard built himself. And like you said, he's one man, and he's a genius. It's crazy what he's built and what he's building, but obviously he can't do it on his own. He needs people to do it. And if these people have got a problem, then cool, go and build something yourself that you like, right? Don't throw heat at people trying to make it better.
And most of those they don't have the skin for it. They wouldn't be able to pull it off. And I've seen, like, in terms of saying, there was another founder who I really, really liked. I thought he's no Richard Hart, but that I was following, that I thought was doing great. And you know what? He tried to take on too many things, and one of them didn't turn out well, and all his projects suffered. So if you hope that Richard Hart continues to build all the things that you want, know that that as one person, that one of those things will start to falter, because he can't pay attention to all of them in the way that he's used to doing it, and that there's always the risk that one of those projects hurts the others if it doesn't work out. So he knows his pace, he knows his team, he knows what he needs to do. And if he says, if you want it, you go build it, then proceed accordingly. You don't have to. But if you feel called to, and I like that people are thinking up ideas all the time. One of my friends is like, he's a Solidity developer, and he has specific ideas around wallet creation. And I was like, Richard Hart's building a MetaMask, I don't know what a MetaMask clone, but another wallet. And I could see the gears turning in his head of like, okay, how could we implement this idea? Like he may or may not do it, but at least he's excited about it. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, we need people to build on it. And of course, there's people like Liquid Loans and Hedron and Mintra who are public about it, but there are other teams building stuff behind the scenes that we don't know
without
about.
question.
So it's going to be very exciting when it goes live to see what pops up. Probably stuff we haven't even thought of. And I'm sure these guys just thought, you know what, I'm going to put my head down and work because I don't need the shade on Twitter. And it's such an exciting time, man. Obviously we all wanted PulseChain yesterday, but thinking of all the things that are that we already know of, and the stuff that we don't even know of yet, who knows where we're going to be, this time in 2023. Hopefully PulseChain's out by then.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, and the other thing about it is like the virtue signaling will halt because it will just be, it'll be whack-a-mole. Like, yeah, I mean, imagine the time it will take for someone. It's easy for someone to pick on single projects, here and there, especially single projects that are actually face forward, willing to answer questions, about the things that they have going on, let alone when this thing opens up and anyone can do anything. I remember, like, I think it was the first time Richard Hart, someone asked him about NFTs after he'd been dogging on them. They're like, what about NFTs on PulseChain? He's like, of course. That was it. He's like, it's decentralized. People can build whatever they want. Well, okay. So if you want to be the arbiter of all things pure, when PulseChain launches, have at it. But it will be more than a full-time job, and you won't save anyone. You'll just ruin your own life because there's just going to be too much. There's going to be too much to break down. But
yeah, can you imagine doing that on BSC or ETH, trying to try and go around and fund projects? It's impossible. There's too many.
No. And usually, like, what you'll end up seeing is it'll just be competitors trying to FUD
Yeah.
Each other, which whatever, that'll be its own thing.
But going back to what you were saying before, of course, we want to welcome everyone, but your advice still is nuanced. It's like, use some discernment. Obviously, you need to do your own research. I'm sure when like you told me at the beginning of this stream, when you were first told about Hex, you were so scarred from your last bout in crypto. You didn't listen, and then you had to do some research, right? To find out, okay, let me have a look at this and see how it works. You didn't ape in straight away. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't one of those, like, let me see the white paper, I need to review the code kind of things. But yeah, I put some money in and then put some more in and then kept DCAing in and seeing, how things went. But yeah, I think everyone should always do that. Like, you should always assume that those projects need to earn your trust. And here's the other thing. Again, this community is a marketing machine. So there are different levels of the types of content that are being created. So I don't know if I'll end up being this, but someone might end up doing introductions of PulseChain projects that are coming out. Some of those people might be shills. Some of them might be paid shills. But again, get the information. The do your own research is a meme at this point. But like, you have to go with a gut check at the end of the day. We talk about this all the time, but the word trustless is used so much in crypto, and yet trust is the primary thing that ends up making us interested in investing or interested in being in a community and being active in a community. Like, you didn't have to show your face on this. I didn't have to show my face. Some other people don't. They just would rather talk, and that's okay too. But I trust Richard Hart. I trust his team, and I trust his community. And that's why. That's why when that's why I talked about you guys early on, because I was like, I don't know, like, everyone needs to still check it out, but I'm going to at least have a conversation with these guys from my perspective and in my experience, and see if other people can help, if they can provide information that helps other people make a decision. And you guys just obviously took it from there and are doing a good job answering all the questions. Frankly, when you asked me to do this, I didn't know if we'd have anything new to talk about. I wanted to be interesting. I wanted to be an interesting guest.
Well, man, listen, I always like your stuff. And like you said, a lot of the time you just jump on streams and you just go with it, shoot the breeze, and they're great. I love all your stuff, all your breakdowns, like the one about BSC and ETH, and all your live streams you're doing. And I implore everyone watching this, if you're watching it live, if you're watching the playback, to follow you if they're not. Where can people find out more about you?
I mean, I'm on Twitter. I'm on, if you search, I think there's another Krypto Panda on YouTube that hangs out with cuter girls than me, with a C, but yeah, with a K. And then also just on Twitter, it's Panda's Only One.
Panda's Only One. I love
it.
it.
If you just search Krypto Panda with a K, I think I'm on Twitter and also YouTube. And yeah, I do it. Like I said, I started it out of gratitude. And then I started getting some good feedback. And part of the reason I kept doing it is, but I was seeing myself, I was seeing the momentum of new people coming in. Like, thank you so much. This helped me with a friend or family member, or I was just thinking about, I'd see a comment. I've been interested in doing this, and this video helped me, providing me more information to be more comfortable about it. And that's kind of what kept me going. In doing it. But it's gotten a little harder to create content because there's so many smart people doing it. So now I'm like, okay, I can't just be on being like, it's going to be great. I like have to put some thought into it, and back to your point, it's easy to jump on and say, this is going to be great for 10 minutes. Especially when things are going great. When they're not, it's a little more difficult. But the other content creators have challenged me to, step up my game in terms of what it is that I get excited about and what it is that I'm talking about. And I'm super grateful for that, because we're all sort of elevating the information that we're putting out together. And I think that what I can always offer my audience is, I will keep it simple, because that's easier for me. That's easier for me to talk about than macro and markets and TA. Like, it's just not my thing.
Dude, keep doing what you're doing. You're an asset to the community. And I appreciate, like you said, going back, I think it was 5 or 6 months ago, you're one of the first guys to do a video on liquid loans. And that's because you're a truth seeker. You want to hear both sides of the argument. You want to see, what's legit and what's not. And yeah, man, I really appreciate you. And this has been really good. You're going to have to come back on the stream further down the road, hopefully when we're live and we can talk about how things have played out and stuff. But I really appreciate it. So again, just before you go, tell everyone where everyone can find you on Twitter and Telegram and YouTube.
Yeah, just Krypto Panda with a K on Twitter or YouTube. I just for OPSEC reasons, I try not to make myself too easy to get a hold of.
Sure.
I don't have any real reason to, but I've found out that people still have a way, usually through other people that I talk to,
Sure.
to get in touch. But yeah, I mean, I try to follow. You know, if you have Hex or PulseX in your profile, I'll try to follow back. I do my best because I was new here and flattered when certain people, you know, followed me and engaged with me. And so I try to do the same for others. But yeah, search there and I'll check the comments back here. And if someone says, hey, you know, where do I find you? Then I'll post a link.
Fantastic. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thanks, Matt.
Krypto Panda, the man, the myth, the legend. If you're not pumped after that, go and follow his channel. Go and follow him on Twitter. His content is fire. He's positive. We need that cohesive element in the ecosystem because all of you watching right now, whether you're watching the live or the playback, you want PulseChain to do well. You want to pump your bags and you want to bring adoption to the system. Guys, if you like live streams and videos and content like this, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos and content. You can also share this video with someone who you think it may benefit. Tap the like button and drop a comment below for the algo. Sometimes if you're watching the playbacks, it does help us out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a great Thursday wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.